Hey everybody, I'm Rook. Welcome to the table. Doing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel deck profile for you today. One of the classics, one of the best meta Tier 1 decks out there right now, Fall 2019, for context. I'm going to showcase you guys the Gravekeeper's Oracle deck. This is the one that you see all the time. My deck does not really stray from that, I can tell you right now. So if you're just getting into the format and you're like, I don't want to be creative, just give me something that'll win. Well, here's the deck for you. So let's start with the skill. You guys should know this skill. A little man called Weevil. Hidden Parasite. Hidden Parasite is really good for this deck because of the Eradicating Aerosol. The monster removal is just so valuable. This Gravekeeper's Oracle deck does not have any skill that necessarily interacts with it from a Gravekeeper standpoint. So there's the Hidden Parasite for you. Just going to hit you with Bug Spray, clear the field real well. Also, as I mentioned before, Lucky Day Dice Foon, also a good option. If you're finding that your opponent's very back row heavy instead of monster heavy, maybe you want to side that in for Lucky Day Dice Foon. So just keep a spot open in your side deck for Lucky Day, the skill, the Joey skill, and some Dice Foons. Let's move on to monsters. We have 3 Gravekeeper's Ambusher. Gravekeeper's Ambusher, 1700 attack, 0 defense. It's really just a good 4-star beater for Gravekeepers. The 1700 attack is really strong to start with. Now, it does have a kind of a wall of text as its card text, but its effects you don't see too often. You're typically summoning this in attack mode. It does have an effect where if it's flipped up, you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and you can put it back into the deck. So that's actually pretty good if, say that my Gravekeeper's Ambusher gets ready for intercepted, so it gets flipped face down, and then somebody's trying to attack into it, I could flip it and then I could put one of their cards that are in the graveyard back into the deck, and that might stop something like a Book of Life. They're trying to res it, or maybe a Zombina effect if a Zombina is trying to get something back in. So it can be good, but typically you're finding that this is going to be just something used to attack as a beater, and of course the tribute for Oracle. It's a Gravekeeper's monster, so that's very important. It also has some effects around Necro Valley, but we're not really using Necro Valley in this deck, so I can gloss over that. Moving on, for monsters, we have 3 Gravekeeper's Recruiter. Gravekeeper's Recruiter, 1200 attack, 1500 defense. Pretty high defense for a 3-star monster, Gravekeeper monster at that. This effect we will be using when it is sent from the field to the graveyard. You can search for 1 Gravekeeper monster, essentially. That is the effect of Recruiter. So that's if it's destroyed by battle, destroyed by card effect. If I tribute with it, I can go ahead and search for a Gravekeeper monster. So I'm looking to do this to get my Gravekeeper's Oracle. I could look for it to get another Recruiter. I could look for it to get an Ambusher. Those are the only Gravekeeper's monsters I run. Most of the monsters are Gravekeepers, so the Recruiter works really well. But typically I'm trying to get Oracle in my hand to set up for the Oracle play. Speaking of Oracle, let's talk about that next. Gravekeeper's Oracle, I run 2 of these. Some decks run 1. But I find that running 2 is better because there are a lot of options to get it out, and a lot of ways to get it out that this deck focuses on. So I feel like to just have 1 is a missed opportunity. You could definitely try and get 2 out in the same game. And Gravekeeper's Oracle, okay, everybody get ready to flame me if I get this wrong. So the effect is you can tribute a Gravekeeper's monster for it, and you can tribute up to 3 Gravekeeper's monsters for it. Typically you're going to tribute just 1. There are 3 different effects that resolve in sequence if you're able to tribute more than 1. Let's say you're just tributing 1 to get Gravekeeper's Oracle out. So when Gravekeeper's Oracle comes out, there are 1 of 3 effects you can activate. And the first one is it can gain attack equal to the levels of the monsters that were tributed for it, times 100. So say if I'm tributing Gravekeeper's Ambusher and I decide to use effect 1 on my Oracle, its base attack's 2000, but it would bump up to 2400. Also its defense is 1500, which is a little weak for a boss monster, but the effects are too good. So second effect, I could use it to destroy all set monsters my opponent controls. This is great if they have a field of flip monsters or blast spheres or who knows what. Maybe you're ready for intercepting something flip face down. That'll wipe those out. Doesn't have to be a flip monster or anything like that. Just any set monster can destroy. That's effect number 2. And then effect number 3, and this is the one that you may find you're using the most, is all of your opponent's face-up monsters are going to lose 2000 attack, 2000 defense. A lot of monsters are well below that in terms of attack and defense, so you're essentially putting all their monsters to 0. And this effect is permanent. So even if Gravekeeper's Oracle leaves the field, those monsters, particularly unless they get sent back to the hand or they die and they get res back to the field, they're going to stay at 0/0 essentially until they're removed from the field. So that's why Gravekeeper's Oracle is a great card. Really what you're looking to do is all your deck is just designed around getting the Gravekeepers out, trying to deflect attacks and keep them out long enough so you can get Oracle out. Then Oracle's either going to wipe the set monsters or it's going to essentially make your opponent's monsters worthless, and then you can just slam your Oracle right into one of those monsters and do 2000 to get started, and before you know it, the match is over. So 2 Gravekeeper's Oracle, and then last monster I run, 2 Sphere Creebo. Sphere Kuriboh, compliments of Yugioh, that tournament that got me those 2 Sphere Kuribohs. Sphere Kuriboh is really good in this deck because, like I said, you're trying to deflect attacks. Sphere Kuriboh is not a monster that you're going to really normal summon. 300 attack, 200 defense, it's a 1-star monster. We use it for the hand trap. So say that an opponent's declaring an attack and it's going to wipe out my my Gravekeeper's Ambusher. Maybe I got spun into defense mode, but I need that Ambusher to stay out because I need to tribute it for Oracle that's in my hand. Sphere Kuriboh, I drop that to the graveyard and that attacking monster goes to defense position. So Sphere Kuriboh is great. Obviously, this is a physical deck here that I'm building, so if you want to build it physically, but Sphere Kuriboh, it's a little expensive. Most expensive card in the format right now at around $13, $14. A good substitute for this would be something like Kunai with Chain, something like Security Orb, anything that can really just deflect an attack and put into defense. Obviously, Windstorm of Attack works well there too. But if your opponent is Night Beaming you, if they have a lot of magic removal, Sphere Kuriboh is that last line of defense, as we don't see too many mechanics in the format right now that make you discard. There are a couple, but it's not really relevant in the meta. So Sphere Kuriboh is a very safe option there. All right, moving on to spells. 4 spells. 2 Bug Spray, Eradicating Aerosol. Pairs very well with the Hidden Parasite. Hidden Parasite I can use twice per duel, so I'm running 2 Eradicating Aerosol, as Hidden Parasite turns all monsters that are face up into insects, and the Eradicating Aerosol will spray them down and destroy all insect monsters on the field. Now with Hidden Parasite, on the turn that I activate it, your opponent is going to take half life point damage for the rest of that turn. So I can't just spray them down and then summon something huge and then beat them for full damage. They're going to take half. But the Eradicating Aerosol is fantastic just to clear that monsters. The monster removal is really great. Typically, I'm trying to just put 1 monster out at a time, whether it's Ambusher or Recruiter, trying to get the tribute for Oracle. Typically just 1 monster at a time. So Eradicating Aerosol, there's never a full field, or not too often a full field that I'm going to have where I have to really think about if I want to destroy my own monsters too. If for some reason something gets caught in the crossfire on my side, it would most likely be a Recruiter because I get that search anyway. So 2 Eradicating Aerosol is great, and then 2 Night Beam. Night Beam, a little bit of a no-brainer at this point. Really good magic removal. It really just targets a face down your opponent has, and they can't chain in response. So really great. Not too good around continuous face-up traps, Spellbinding Circle if people are running those still, or a field spell, something like Dinosaur Kingdom, something like that. So, but Night Beam really eliminates your opponent's Kunais, their Windstorms, and all those classics. So really good staple to use in this deck here. And those are the spells. Moving on to traps. 3 Rite of Spirit. Rite of Spirit is great because it does very well in setting up the Gravekeeper's Oracle play. Rite of Spirit will special summon Gravekeeper's monster in my graveyard to my side of the field. It ignores Necro Valley. But say it's your opponent's end phase, and they just wiped out my Gravekeeper's Ambusher. At the end of their turn, I can activate Rite of Spirit to get Ambusher back out in the field, and then bam, there's that tribute for the Oracle that's in my hand. So really great trap, Rite of Spirit. That's why I'm running 3. Works super, super well trying to get the Oracle out. Next trap, 2 Kunai with Chain. Kunai with Chain, obviously trying to deflect attacks, similar to Sphere Kuriboh. You have this set, and you're going to save your monster a turn as you can apply both effects to not only equip it to a monster, but turn your opponent's attacking monster into defense mode. So that saves your monster so that you can get the tribute off for Gravekeeper's Oracle. So Kunai with Chain, very good. Also, Security Orb, a really good option as well. If you don't want to use Kunai, and maybe your opponent's running a lot of magic removal, Security Orb will be able to put him in defense, and also has the potential to eliminate one of your opponent's monsters if they were to target it with magic removal. So Kunai or Security Orb is great. And then last trap, 1 Windstorm of Atakwa. I don't think that I've profiled a deck where I don't have Windstorm of Atakwa in there. I always just put at least 1 or 2 in. Windstorm of Atakwa is great if you are dealing with something like a very large field of monsters your opponent controls. Kunai and Sphere are great for the one-offs, the boss monsters. You just want to put those into defense mode while you work on getting your field built up. But Windstorm of Atakwa is really great if your opponent commands a field of 3 monsters, something that will put them all in defense mode, set you up really well for the Eradicating Aerosol if you have that in your hand as well. That's why I only run 1, because Eradicating Aerosol will also take away the large field from your opponent. So I don't feel the need to run a bunch. Kunai works really well because of the equip. I mean, you think about Ambusher equipped with Kunai, what does that put him at? 22? That's a really strong monster that not many people can get over. So Kunai's good, Windstorm's good. And like I said, Security Orb might be a good option there too, especially if you don't want to use Sphere Kuribohs. So that is the Gravekeeper's deck. And fun fact, if you guys got this far, I should have said this in the beginning, but I'll make you guys work for it. I do do just list the entire deck at the end. I'm probably listing it right now. It's just like there. I know what you're thinking. Why don't I just put it in the description? Because I want you guys to work for it. I need you guys to at least watch a little bit so that you can get the gist of what I'm trying to say. So there's the whole list in front of you right now of the Gravekeeper's deck. Like I said, this is tier 1 right now. Gravekeeper's Oracle's effects are really, really versatile and just really good right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Of course, there are a bunch of different things you could tech in this deck. I have seen the Rogue Dino, the Rogue Hyper Hammerhead go in here. I've seen the Rogue Blast Sphere go in here. Obviously, a lot of different options if you don't want to use Sphere Creepo, but you want to take this somewhere physically. So let me know what you guys use in the comments below. And of course, feel free to keep watching the channel for more stuff. I got more stuff coming up for you. So thanks, everybody. I'll catch you guys later.